buddies?
Ready to play some D&D?
Yeah, I'm glad we just immediately went live with zero technical problems and
We did.
just went right into it.
Flawless.
Yeah, for sure. We're here. We have arrived. Yeah, so I guess, welcome. As I talked about in session 0, this story is going to take place in the continent of Sakal. And Sakal is essentially it's pretty diverse region. It's got a lot of different environments on this continent. There is also a continent called Nuarta that is kind of across the seas to the left. But this story is going to be taking place in a small mining town called Tin Town. And this town has really kind of come up from just, it started as a mine, basically finding a large supply of minerals and other valuable metals. And it has since kind of grown and grown in this pit mine fashion where it's like gotten deeper and deeper. And as it has, like, this tiered city has kind of grown around it. And it's, it kind of, as it goes down, the city expands and it's all kind of run by this mining company called Boulder Fist Mining Company. And so actually that is where our story begins. We kind of see after a long shift down in the mines, we see Cosmos Stoneheart. We see this kind of like probably pretty dirty and dusty after a day of hard work down the mines. But coming out of the mines, it's kind of dusk at this point. It's basically the day shift and the night shifts are changing. So you can see your Cosmo. You can see your other fellow miners walking in. Passing by you, and then your other, your shift that you were with, they're all kind of walking out and heading either home or to the bar, and actually a couple of your brethren, your friends, I guess, other people that are working down the mine, which is actually, it's not all dwarves, it's like a mix of races. Tin Town's a pretty diverse town, but it's half orcs, it's there's some drow in there. There's humans. There's a lot of different folk, but kind of in just seeing if you want to go get a beer with them over at the Matic.
Aye, let's get a brew.
Sweet. So yeah, you kind of head over. The Matic is there are actually two bars in the town. One of them's head up by it's head up by the actual Boulder Fist Mining Company. So there's one like on site essentially. So like kind of like where you would take your lunch breaks, but down there in the middle section. But the Matic is more of it's kind of a local favorite. It's where like the people who live in the town go to. The other one would be kind of like the like the Applebee's or whatever, and this is more of like the local bar. But so
is the other one owned by the mining company? The Applebee's is owned by the mining company?
No, it's not. Yeah, so the Applebee's. No, yeah, the Matic is owned by a local, basically just someone who lived in this town, grew up in, and started this and started the Matic. And so you head up the tiers into the Matic, which is located on the map at number 13, so kind of higher and tucked into the wall. But it's this kind of unique, and obviously living in this town since being younger, you're familiar with the Matic. It's this really unique kind of outdoor bar area. It's essentially like a tavern, but there are no walls. It's just kind of like a covered roof situation, and then everything's kind of outside. And then there's just like tables spread all around, and then there is a central bar in the kind of in the center that you can kind of go up to from any angle. But it's all kind of one big square bar in the middle, just completely surrounded by tables. And so as you walk up to this level and you kind of see the Matic bar or tavern, what do you do?
So I walk up to the. Where are my? Did my homies follow me?
Yeah,
brethren?
yeah. So they kind of like walk. They're like walking with you, and they kind of like slap you on the back, and then they kind of like go off and grab a table, just kind of off to the side. It's probably about half full with a smattering of a bunch of different races. People that some people that work in the mine, some people that run shops around town, all of whom are relatively familiar to you. You do notice, kind of in towards the back, you do notice a relatively lavishly dressed, seeming like an elven figure, sitting by themselves, kind of off a little bit away from everyone else. And they do seem to they seem to take notice of you walking in, but there's there's no kind of outward hostility. What does he see when he sees your character, Brian?
Oh, he sees, as you mentioned, he's kind of lavishly dressed. Definitely would not necessarily immediately fit in a mining community. He's got it's a male, high elf, bronze skin, really light, like platinum blonde, almost blue hair, and he's just sipping on some dainty looking cocktail. It does not look like the average beer that everybody else is drinking. Definitely has an air about him of being maybe a little more highbrow than he's used to, but he also does look very comfortable in this setting. Doesn't look like he's nervous or anything. He just is in his own fucking world.
Is he
Pinky
sitting
out
by
for sure,
himself?
then, right?
Yes, there is probably like a table's worth of space between him and the next group would be my guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely there by himself, just kind of mind his own business, keep an eye on who walks in, who walks out, who comes near him.
I think for Cosmo, as the kind of local grown boy, he always takes to the new people in town, and but he would first walk up to the barkeep, and he'll call. They'll be like, "I'll have the use," and makes eye contact with the bartender.
So the bartender, you see a very large, and of course you're familiar with him. You know him. So this is Tom. Tom is a Goliath, and is just a very kind of slow-speaking, very honest individual. And so you walk up to the bar and, well, hello there.
Oi, Tom. I'll have the use.
How you do? Well, yeah, I think I can certainly oblige with that. And so he, he pulls out your usual. He actually, do you bring your tankard with you, or do you just like use the one that they have, like whatever he provides you? Do you store yours there? Like, how much of a regular are you?
No, I think I would leave it there. I don't know if I would carry it with me.
Yeah, so I like that. So he has like a shelf like up above that he's like keeping, like clearly being as big as he is, he actually probably has a few like higher shelves in this this bar, and so he has like storage of different people's mugs that like live here and that are kind of more regulars. And so he pulls yours down and kind of washes it out, and then fills it with some pretty good like dwarven ale, and yes, just slides to you across the counter, and
Oi, thanks, Tom. Hey, hey, you say, you know this new fella there?
Well,
he motions over to Brian.
I've seen him around. He did order one of the strangest drinks. I think he actually had to describe to me how to make it. I mean, I'm always open for learning new things, but it was, I think it had about 14 steps, and it's just quite a little bit of a complicated one for me to remember. I had to write it down.
What's its name? What's the name of the cocktail that I asked for? I'm putting you on the spot.
The Flaming Lips. I don't know.
Perfect. I got to be able to order it later, so.
Yeah, I like that actually too. Like the last step of it was actually lighting it on fire. So.
Right, that's how he keeps it a little manly. Keeps his edge.
There you go.
Yeah, that's how people know. I'm tough.
And then and Cosmo would look over to the bar Tom and say, "Oi, I guess I'll go say hello." And so I pick up my beer and I wander over to the table, and then I just kind of like motion to him. You sitting alone? I don't know what voice I'm doing, but I'm just gonna roll with it.
Just go with it, man. It's happening.
So Glenn looks to his left to an empty seat, looks to his right to an empty seat, and is like, "Well, guess you're just the most perceptive fella out there, ain't you? Why don't you take a seat?"
Don't mind if I do.
I
And
think
so
it's Jason Statham. I think the voice is Jason Statham.
We'll see.
Hell yeah.
We'll see.
It'll evolve.
We'll see where it lands. We're throwing darts right now.
Dude, just throw the spaghetti.
See what sticks. Well, so you see Cosmo, he takes his big war pick off and he sets it down and he sits down and you see this big fluff of dust just come off of his miner pants. Boy, long day in the mine.
And as that big plume goes, Glenn's like wearing this big ornate like white cloak, and he's like dusting even like the smallest particle. Is like, yeah, man, I
Sorry,
guess
friend.
I wouldn't necessarily know about that.
Sorry, friend. Didn't mean to get any dirt on you. Those are nice clothes.
Hey, man, gotta dress to impress, as they say. Dress for the job you want, not the one you have. Am I right?
Clearly, you're impressing people because they're just flocking to you, mate.
I would call it a slow burn. You know, people could think I'm a little hard to approach, but you don't seem to have that problem, do you?
Oh, I like to know who the people is in me town. And come say hello.
Well met, man. And he like rolls his sleeve back because he's gonna do the forearm extension and knows that it's gonna get grabbed. So he just extends an arm to shake your hand. I'm Glenn. Nice to meet you, brother.
Oi, Cosmo. Cosmo's doing hot. Gives a nice firm grasp.
So from the kind of not from behind you, I guess, but like kind of walking up towards the bar, you hear like you start hearing this like what sounds like metal being dragged across the ground, but at the same time, like it's almost like in a rhythmic pattern. But it sounds like something heavy being dragged kind of across the ground.
It's coming from like behind us.
Yeah, so like where your guys' table is at, it's kind of coming from like kind of behind you, like wouldn't be directly in your line of sight.
Cosmo would, or not Cosmo, Glenn would definitely turn to look and see kind of where this random noise is coming from. Just kind of peek over his shoulder.
Yeah, so as you're like turning around, you actually get kind of like brushed past a little bit, and you see this very this like almost not towering form. They're not as tall as Tom the Goliath, but they're pretty big and pretty bulky, and they're wearing this like tattered duster like leather like I guess long jacket, but you kind of just catch them out of the corner of your eye, and you've seen them around, but it's their body is entirely composed of metal. They're warforged, and bald head. Like I said, they're wearing this tattered duster. They honestly just look like they're beat to all shit, like just absolutely rusted, and looks like they've been kind of repaired but haphazardly sometimes, and there's like newer shinier parts and like old beaten parts, and then what you see is creating that kind of metal noise is actually like it looks like one of their legs is like damn near ripped off. It's like twisted and torn, and it's actually kind of partially sideways. And it's being dragged across the ground, and then across the back and their shoulder, you can see a gouge that is actually torn. Like if it was on a human, it would be torn past, like down halfway into the chest. See a big V diagonal cut out of like their shoulder area, and they just walk far. It's Tom, and yeah, that's what you see.
I look to Glenn looks over at Cosmo and just kind of chuckles like, at least you're having a better day than that guy is, am I right?
Oi. It's always a good day to be a dwarf.
So Cosmo, you recognize this figure for sure. You recognize him just from being in the town, and you know his name to be Luther. But this condition he's in, while his condition does fluctuate from time to time, and he's definitely seems a little bit haphazard. This is not a normal for him to be like his leg to be essentially broken and for him to have a big gash out of his shoulder. You are not familiar with him enough to be like friendly. You just know him from being in the town.
Got it. Do I know him enough to know like what he does for work?
So you know that his house it's essentially kind of tucked away in one of the corners. It's located at location 10, so pretty far away from where you're at right now. But
I see that.
It essentially it does have a sign on it, but that sign is extremely faded and pretty weathered, and it does look like it was a shop at some point in time, but it doesn't. It's not like currently selling anything.
Got it.
And he doesn't currently sell anything. But you just know that he essentially comes back into town from time to time, just beaten to all hell, and then it's just kind of a cycle of repeating.
I just kind of lean in close to Glenn and I say, "Reckon we should ask him if he's okay." That doesn't look
Hey man,
like
as long as I'm in the business of creating new friends, might as well add another to the list. And I stand up and probably out of the character for a bar, I very carefully push my chair in. And I stand up and I fix all my fancy robes and whatnot, and I grab my Flaming Lips cocktail and I just wait for Cosmo to stand up and do the same.
As you guys are standing up and doing all that, you see him pretty much down his tankard in one, and it kind of just almost immediately starts running out the bottom of his leg and the bottom of his his feet, and essentially pools down at where he is just where he's standing. It doesn't seem to have been actually digested in any way, shape, or form, more than it was just passed directly from his mouth to the floor.
So how close to me is he?
He's probably maybe 15 feet, not too far.
All right, I might. I say, "Oi, Luther, you sprung a leak, mate."
He doesn't actually. I'm gonna roll some dice.
he casts death.
He casts.
He just turns and casts power word death.
He
Oh,
just,
word yeet.
Yeah. And it's over, and Cosmo's dead. So roll a new character. No, he doesn't respond in any way, shape, or form aside from just slamming the tankard back down and pushing it over to Tom, who kind of startled refills it, and he does seem to sip this one a little. He does take another drink, but he seems to sip this one a little bit more.
Glenn walks over towards him and kind of daintily steps over the puddle of beer that he just kind of poured on the ground.
Basically.
Oh, one thing I forgot to describe. He has on his back probably one of the biggest two-handed swords, just a giant sword on his back.
Something
That's
that an
chipped
ancient
and beaten.
robot type might carry. Sorts.
Just a very they're a very strong person would carry. It's just a very big two-handed sword, and it seems like it's beaten up as much as he is. Also rusted. Chipped.
I was good. Okay, so it's not like a fancy epic sword. It's he basically just has a giant chunk of metal with a handle attached to it, sort of thing.
I mean, if you want to do, I don't know how much knowledge you would have of craftsmanship, but
Bro, I'm an elf. I'm a high elf. I'm the craftsmaniest.
And I'm pretty
All right.
sure this is not Elvish.
I rolled a 2.
Yeah,
no,
it's
I
a sword.
disagree.
It's a big knife.
It's a
It's
It's
a
a-
big butter knife.
chunk of metal. So Glenn steps over the puddle and walks up and goes, "Hey, hey, bud, nice to meet you, man. I'm Glenn. Seems the alcohol here just kind of runs right through you, huh?"
Roll me a persuasion check.
That's not good. That is a 9.
Yeah, he kind of just shrugs your hand off, and you actually, Cosmo, where are you at right now?
I think I'm still at the table.
Okay.
I kind of just said my piece, and that was it.
Okay, you see two more people enter into the bar and walk past your table, and out like you see they basically pass right by you and go up to Glenn, and Glenn, you feel someone's hand, a pretty strong hand on your shoulder, and they say,
Bar fight.
you know, it probably not the best thing to bother Luther right now, I think.
Turn over to him, and I kind of like give him a head nod, like I get it, makes sense. Then I look to Luther and I like give like a little bit of head nod. I said, "Tom, make me another flaming lips, yeah?" And I just down whatever's left of my little cocktail and set the little fluted glass in front of him.
Do Constitution check for sure.
Yes, please.
Constitution save.
Oh, I love this.
for the drink that he's
Yes, for the drink that you're taking.
dig it. I got a 16 plus 18.
Okay, all right, yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're able to quaff that thing down. It's it's a pretty good tasting drink. So like you don't have any problem drinking it.
The fire burned off the
Yeah,
blew it out.
exactly.
Other things.
All the alcohol, it's just fruit at basically at this point, and it's other things at this than fire. Yeah, so you turn around and you see a very tall, like probably about 6 feet tall, even probably over that, a female half orc, extremely burly, just ripped half orc with black dreads running down, and the arm actually, when you kind of turn around and see the arm she grabs you with, is actually made out of the same kind of metal construction as Luther is completely. It's essentially that kind of same metal, but she essentially has a metallic arm as one of her arms.
That's cool. That's why you got such a hell of a grit.
And behind her, you see a basically a kind of stouter, also very beefy gray dwarf. And Rangrim, if you'd like to describe yourself.
Rangrim would be in his general attire, maybe wearing some, I believe it's chainmail at this point, still with his smithy's robes on. His face would be covered in soot, as well as most of his body would, even after just immediately leaving the forge. The idea of just like cleaning that off is not something he ever thinks about. He looks like he might even like just sleep next to the forge. He's like that covered in soot.
Soot.
Soot,
cool.
Dirt, some flux, all that good stuff.
And yeah, so are you? What are you doing, Glenn?
Yeah, so he kind of turned around and saw, the new group approach him and said, "Well, hell, since I'm in the business of making, why not add 2 more friends?" And I just extend an arm out to the orc first. Say, "Hey there, I'm Glenn. Nice to meet you."
Yeah.
Except I like pull up my sleeves so they don't make my sleeves all dirty.
Yeah, so she extends her non-metallic hand to shake your hand. She says, "I'm Mage. It's nice to meet you. I don't mean to be rude, but I think Luther needs my attention right now. If you don't mind."
Oh, Matt Mage, you been keeping this man together?
Well, myself and Rangrim, it's a full-time job keeping this guy from falling apart. And she kind of goes, just excuse me. She goes up to Luther and starts kind of just she puts her hand around his shoulder and starts kind of talking to him into his ear, quiet enough that you can't really hear what she's saying, but you can just see him. He kind of is nodding, so that's what's going on.
So yeah, Glenn would for sure just step out of the way. Definitely read the social cues on that one. Extends an arm to Rangrim. Says, "Rangrim, was it?"
Aye, Rangrim. And your name, Elf.
Hey, you're perceptive too. bunch of perceptive people in this bar. My name's Glenn. Nice to meet you.
Glenn, if you're all right with Madge, you're all right with me. And he takes his dirty hand, spits on it, and extends his hand out to Glenn.
Cosmo comes running in and he says, "Boy, I like meeting new dwarfs." And he just like barrels in on that spitty handshake. "My name's
Aye.
Cosmo."
Cosmo, you're one of the miners.
Oh,
Yeah, right?
right.
Good to meet dwarfs. Other dwarfs. What was your name again? Grimace?
Close enough. I don't expect you to
Have
really
you met-
figure it out.
He's new. I think he's new.
He's new. Yep, I just met him too.
All right. And Rangrim would kind of look around for a minute and notice that Madge was over with Luther and make like a quick little beeline to kind of assess that situation as well. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, right. Yep. I'll just stay here, drink me beer.
Yeah, I'll follow Rangrim for a minute. So yeah, Rangrim, you go over and you start talking with Madge and Luther, and essentially, Madge pretty much immediately it kind of turns to you as like, hey, we gotta get him back to the forge. His leg, I think we might have some spare parts we might be able to use on him, but that thing, it looks pretty gnarly, and especially since seems like you've been pouring beer on it, it's just gonna get worse,
Oh,
get
yeah.
more rusty.
He sprung a leak. I tried to tell him. He just ignored me.
Rangrim kind of looks over and just like, oh, by every dead fucking god, Luther, one of these days, you're gonna tell me what's doing all this to you?
He wasted perfectly good meat on the floor.
He is what he does. All the time. I was in his chest, drinking mead. I got a cup out of his chest once. Awful. Hung over for 3 days, though.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, so you kind of both of you get your arms around like Luther and kind of support him and start kind of walking him out. And as you're doing that, you hear a sound that you are all familiar with. Well, maybe not Glenn because you're newer here, but the rest of you are familiar with the sound. And it is the sound of a loudly tolling bell coming from down towards the mines. And Cosmo, for you, this probably is a little bit more alarming because you know that when the bells toll, essentially there is a attack of some sort or an issue down in the mines. However, there is a tiered system for how the alert goes. If it's one bell, it means that they are at gate 3, which is the farthest gate. If it tolls twice, it's at gate 2, and if it tolls 3 times, it's at gate 1. Gate 1 is essentially the last bastion before it would get into the city. And so when you hear this, you hear it toll once, and everyone goes quiet, and they're all waiting to see if it's going to toll a second time. And after about a minute or like that goes by extremely slowly, you do not hear a second toll, and you essentially know that it's whatever is happening down the mines is only at gate 1 or gate 3, which is essentially the farthest gate that is not guarded by the Boulder Fist Mining Company. They only patrol gate 2 and gate 1.
So these gates are to protect something from exiting the mine.
Yes. So essentially, the main entrance into the mine is one large hallway, and there are 3 like essentially gates to allow people to nothing to come out to protect the city from things coming out of the mine.
I like that Glenn doesn't know what the sound of a bell is.
Well, you could know what a bell is, but you may not know why. You're like, oh man, it's 1 o'clock.
Don't know who.
Yeah.
Or who the bells toll.
Bell tolls.
For whom the bell tolls.
You just don't know who. So So the bell tolls. Um,
Yes, and as the bell tolls, Luther immediately reacts and tries to move out of the arms of Madge and Rangrim and steps forward and essentially puts his full weight on that leg, and it pretty much twists and snaps off almost. It breaks, and he goes down to one knee and is just fuck. And he's like he pulls his sword off his back and he kind of sticks it in the ground and starts using it as a makeshift crutch, and seems to be trying to go forward, like move away.
Like he's trying to like get out the building. Keep
He's
going
trying to, yeah.
towards.
He seems like this bell has alerted him to something, or you know, is something is he's heading somewhere because of this.
Glenn takes a seat and starts sipping on his freshly poured cocktail and just kind of watching this whole thing.
Yeah. So, Dan, did you hear that?
I didn't. I had to run to the bathroom quickly.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So essentially, when the bell tolled, Luther like pulled free of your arms and essentially tried running forward in reaction to this bell, and his leg gave out from underneath him, and he essentially went down to one knee and then started using his sword as a makeshift kind of crutch to try to. And it seems like he's trying to move. Like he's leaving the tavern, heading somewhere now very slowly, but that's what's happening.
Luther's a gangster.
Awesome. I feel like Cosmo would know what was going on, which he would, and then he'd be like, "Boy, let's get me axe off to the mines."
Yeah, and you actually did see there were a couple people that they definitely seem to like react, and you can see that there are like from the top of the tier that you guys are at now, you can see that there are people heading down into the mine. It's not like a full-fledged like militia heading down there, but there are definitely some people that are heading that way towards the mine.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah, no, keep going.
No, yeah. So what I would look over to hey yo, or elf, can you fight?
I've been known to dispatch a folk or two. You need some help?
Oh, yeah, I reckon we could use a friend.
All right, it sounds good. I got you. And I down the rest of my flaming lips. Do I need to roll Constitution again?
No, you're good.
Okay, tight. And I start to take off my robe, and I like fold it up all nice in this neat little, very like OCD little box, and I hand it to Tom. I said, "Tom, why don't you take care of this? And since everybody else is putting their mugs up, why don't you take this too?" And I hand him my little fluted glass to go next to all the little cups.
He puts it into so is he putting, are you giving him your robe too, or is it just
I'm giving him my robe in one thing, and then like in the other hand I'm handing him like the little,
he puts them in this little cubby, like very daintily. He's just like sliding it into this little cubby and like setting the glass down on top of it very nicely.
Keep those safe, Maureen. And I flip him a coin, but underneath the robes you just notice like all black leather armor, basically just like just a form of like light armor, and then this massive just dual bladed weapon on my back, but it's kind of covered. It's like wrapped by something like cloth or something like that. It's just not really being weathered by the elements. A big ol', and then at his hip, just another like curved blade of some kind. Said, well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that an elf's been called to clean up a dwarf's mess, so let's do it. And I start walking.
Boy, I hope you don't break your new toys. And he just like downs his beer and just puts it down over on the barkeep. Tom, I'll be back to fill me tab.
Rangrim, what are you doing?
Boy, yes, Rangrim.
Rangrim would go over to the other two gentlemen, his new friends, and he'd look over at them and look back. Is Madge still actively like trying to help Luther like walk, or is he still
she's kind of she's moving over to him now. Like she kind of was letting him go do his own thing, but now as she's seeing him just like struggling to get over there, she goes over to him and she's just says, "Hey Luther, you know you can't go like this. You're not going to come out. You can't do anything. The second that you lift that sword to fight, you're going to be on your knees again. We got to get you over to the forge. We got to get you fixed up. Rangrim, can you take care of this?"
Do you have Luther? You can handle him.
Yeah. I can take care of Luther. I'll get them all patched up. If I hope this doesn't take you too long. We can kind of get this, but of course I can take care of it.
If it's only gate 3, it can't be anything that bad. Right, boys? And he goes to slap Glenn on the back, and it's just like he like misses, and it's like really, really firm his lower back.
Right on, you
Over at Cosmo. He's like, all right, let's do this. And Rengrim just reaches to the bar and grabs the nearest drink that is there and just takes it from whatever patron it is, drinks it, and puts it back. And he's like, all right, on with it then.
A very surprised gnome is just like, hey, excuse me. What? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
That's right.
Um,
Come on, boys, off we go. And we start to make our way towards the door of the tavern.
okay, yeah. So, yeah, you can see Madge leading Luther away. She's not. He hasn't even actually moved. He's just like kind of staying still at this point. And she seems to be kind of trying to talk him into going to get fixed, but he is no longer walking forward. So, yeah. So you guys are heading down to the mine.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Glenn's
Awesome.
following.
Seems
follow
unanimous.
behind.
Awesome. So yeah, you make your way down through the tiers and head down to. I mean, this is normal stuff for Cosmo. Like this is day-to-day stuff. Head down into the main opening of the mine, and you're kind of like I said, there aren't many people going in here, but it's a huge opening with these giant metal doors that are in front of it. They're open right now, and as you go in, you're essentially walking underneath these. The ceiling in this mine is probably a good 30 feet up. It's very tall, very high ceilings, curved in kind of like a dome fashion, and you're walking underneath these actual like castle, like 20-foot tall castle walls, parapets that are built inside of this with these like steel drop bridge style gates. And so as you approach them, this first one, they see Cosmo, and they raise the gate, and they're allowing people to go through. And so you get through this first gate, and there are like essentially it's almost like a barracks kind of setup behind here. Like there are people preparing essentially for if it gets worse, and whatever's in the farther gates to get deeper in. So they're essentially preparing, and so you pass by all these people, and they're all kind of just like getting out of your way so you can go through, and you get to the second gate. And this one, they don't open for you right away. And so, what do you do?
I feel like Cosmo would probably shout out to the. Is there like guards at the gate?
Yeah, so they're kind of higher up on the wall. Like I said, this is about a 20-foot parapet, and
Right.
the gate is in front of you, and so like you're kind of looking up at them, and so you're yelling up at them.
Yeah. So I would yell, "Do you know what's coming down the tunnels?"
No, there haven't been any reports yet of what it is. Seems like something has scared them fierce, though. Um, we've had reports of creatures running out of the mines. We don't know. We just there's people. There's something's coming out from lower down. So we raised the alarm just to be safe. Nothing for sure yet, but there's been a couple people that have headed that way. We
See,
can
guys, there's nothing to worry about. We're good. let's go back and start drinking again.
He's Do you want? Are you going through? Are you going to support?
Yeah, Cosmo would put his war pick on his shoulder and be like, I reckon I may as well help.
All right, let's let these guys through. And you see it raises up, but it only raises up about enough to be able to like duck underneath. So maybe like 3.5 feet, something like that.
Watch your head, elf. You might need to crawl. You're gonna get your little clothes dirty. It's okay.
He's gonna get his nice clothes dirty.
Glenn would 100% need to duck, so he just like, as proudly as he can, crouches and just like duck walks at the same height as his dwarven friends. So I don't think you guys really understand this whole friendship thing we were talking about earlier, but we'll work on it. He just keeps going. You would also see a small black bird that just kind of like has been keeping pace with us, and it just kind of like swoops under right as the gate starts to close.
Yeah, just so you know, there is actually room between the top. Essentially, like there's about 10 feet of like domed roof between the top of the parapet and the actual ceiling.
Oh, got it. Then
so he can fly over if he needed to. Yeah. But yeah, so a little bit different when you pass by the second gate, and this is nothing new for Cosmo. And actually, yeah, it's nothing new for Cosmo. But when you get past this gate, it looks like a very almost. It's a stark contrast to what you saw before, which was very like high level of protection and like barracks kind of thing with people defending. This is almost more of like a refugee camp. It's like tents and different ramshackle shelters that are all completely different and look like they've just been kind of put together with the bare minimums of what people could find. And there's like this clearly this path in the middle that actually is along the minecart track that goes right through the middle of it, that has been cleared, and they clearly are staying away from this. But along the sides, all the way up against and kind of up onto the sides of the walls, you see these like very ramshackle shelters, and you can see a lot of different races of Underdark beings that seem to be living in these shelters and are all just kind of looking at you now as you are, and taking like kind of hiding as you are walking past, heading to gate 3.
How wide is this road that we're on?
It's pretty wide. I would say that this between each of the gates, it actually widens pretty substantially. I would say it's around like, I'm just gonna throw a number out there of like maybe 100 feet. Like it's larger. And I might change that after I look up how big 100 feet actually is. But I would say that it's a big enough to be like you could probably fit 40 to 50 people in here if they're pretty close quarters.
Are there any train tracks down?
So there's minecart tracks that run from the through all the gates, but essentially you're just walking along those minecart tracks right now. You're not actually there's no actual minecarts in this track area right now.
Does it look like there's any like semblance of organization of like a the mining companies, like who's running this, or does it just look like completely just shackled together? Just a bunch of buildings that have been kind of put together to survive.
This does not look organized in any way. If there is any semblance of organization, it is minor at best. It's essentially looks like everyone has built whatever they could build with whatever they had. So it's scrap pieces of metal, it's pieces of wood, it's stones, it's some of them depending on if they had like limited magic could be essentially like magically assembled, but they're not like in any way, shape, or form like the same kind of like standardized housing. It's mostly tents and other kind of ramshackle shelters.
Okay.
You do see kind of as you're passing through.
Do we notice anybody else who's like making their way down?
So you don't see anyone else that's actually making their way back. what you the people that were heading into the mine are probably back at after the first gate, preparing with the rest of the folk, just making sure that it's not going to get any farther. But this what you do see is a very handsome dark elf figure that they don't seem to be hiding like the rest of them, and he's just looking at the rest of you, and he kind of locks eyes with Glenn, and that's pretty much it. But he's just kind of watching you guys from kind of like one of the corners.
And is he straight down the path?
No. He's off to the side. He's just kind of standing amongst the tents, but he's not taking shelter like the rest of the people are. But the gate in front of you it's open. There is no gate there, essentially. The third gate does not have a gate that closes. It is essentially a wall with an archway opening.
Hey guys, why don't you go ahead and continue on? I'll catch up with you. I just need to stop and talk to somebody I recognize real quick, and I make my way towards that dark elf.
Probably going to get some more finery.
So
right?
Strange elf.
Well. What brings you down here, Glenn?
We met before. You look familiar.
Well, that's I see you must be trying not to give away our actual relationship. That's fine. I appreciate you coming down here to help. Bring your friends by after this. I think I have a job that, well, they could probably help with.
Then in undercom. Oh no, I can't do it in undercoms. Over here, in Elvish, I say, "Yeah, sounds good. I look forward to seeing you, and be safe, my friend." And then I jog along and try to catch up with the group.
Nice. Yeah. So, are you guys heading out of the third gate?
Do we see? Is there anybody
Cosmo
on?
We're kind of like making our way that way, while Glenn went to talk to his.
That kind of we slowed our stroll.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, go do your thing, and we were kind of walking, like trying to listen.
Me time.
Yeah, so you do see there are two people up on top of the gate that are manning it, and essentially they have their alert system. They have their alert system up there, which is their bell, and then that bell would essentially ring the higher up bell, and that's how the alert system would work. But there are two people up there. Then they're just kind of watching. They are not looking at you at all. They're watching out away into essentially into the darkness of the actual mine.
What species, or what are they? Are they dwarves? Are they gnomes?
I'll say that, yeah. There's a human and a dwarf up there. They're wearing the garb of the mining company, like essentially like steel armor, but emblazoned with like the crest of the Boulder Fist Mining Company.
Hey Cosmo, these look like some of your friends. Maybe they might have some more information for us.
Well, they're just those Boulder Fist buggers, but we'll see what they know. Have we essentially approached the gate at this point?
Yeah, if you guys are walking, if you guys are going to the gate, then it's battle time.
I see little clay pots around.
You have to pick them up and throw them.
Smash the clay pots.
Okay. So, we're approaching the gate. I think Cosmo would probably holler ahead. Boy, do we know what's coming down the pipes yet?
Not yet. And then as he's yelling, you actually see what look like three figures are running at you out of the depths of the mine. and they're kind of getting closer. They're just kind of just in the range of your vision, and you can see the one in the front is a dark elf, and they're wearing like these tattered robes that are essentially emblazoned with the crest of the Spider Queen, but they have seen way better days. They are just like torn and just wrecked and like stained in multiple ways, and she's running at you out of the mine, and then behind her you see two gnomes. There's like a older looking gnome and then a younger, smaller gnome, and these are deep gnomes, by the way, so they're like a dark purple skin, but they're kind of running towards you, and yeah, what do you guys do? They're maybe 60 feet out.
I would shout out to them. What are you running from?
So they're so the drow, the gnomes seem too scared, and the gnome seems way too preoccupied on like making sure that the younger gnome is able to get out, and is not falling behind. But the drow is like, it's huge. It's got bladed arms. And she's just kind of like kind of huffing and puffing and isn't able to get out all of the description. But she's running towards you.
Thank you. Get behind us. Ranger would steady his pace a little bit more forward, going off into the dark.
Glenn draws his bow and takes some kind of cover, whatever would be maybe available, but just kind of keep an eye on what's coming down the pipe.
Yep, go ahead, Elf. Go ahead. You just go hide. We'll take care of it.
So yeah, the drow with her longer stride makes it past you and makes it through the gate, and the gnome seemingly like is just like very focused on making sure the younger one is able to get past. Doesn't look where he's going and trips on the railroad tracks, pretty much just past where you can see that minecart in front of you, and just kind of trips and fumbles, and then out of the darkness behind them, you see a massive form appear of this like kind of it's kind of like this beaked, gnarly looking creature that lives deep down, and you may not have actually encountered them before. Rangrim, you may have encountered one of these creatures before, but they have these long bladed arms that are end in these giant like bone hooks, and this beaked face, and it is absolutely terrifying, and it is just boring down on these gnomes. What do you we can actually roll into initiative.
Okay. Oh dang! I just opened up Astral and saw that thing. That's a whole thing.
I got a big old 12.
Hey, me too.
Best friends.
Except social distancing high five.
3.
Oh my god, 2 12s and a 3? Oh, that gnome is dead.
I got him, mate. My initiative
so
bonus is 13, so it makes me for 13 actually total.
Awesome. So we
nice.
have
Yeah, I got a 5 or 12 total. It's your first.
Awesome. Yeah, unfortunately, the hook whore, which is what this is going to be going first. And no Googling, guys. No Googling.
You can
Brian, I'm looking at you.
That's metagaming.
I attack it with its weakness.
Everyone knows throwing water on them works.
Above the table.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So it essentially takes one of these hooks and slams it down onto this gnome, and as it does so, he grabs the smaller gnome and just hucks it at you guys. And this Hookhor grabs the gnome that's been pierced by this hook and just throws him against the wall, and it now is looking directly at you guys.
Damn.
Is there any way to? Am I in the direction of the gnome to try and catch him?
He threw him against the probably like this upper wall here, so you're to your guys' right. He would have thrown it directly right. I can actually put a figure on the map.
Well, wasn't there two?
Yeah, there's a young
Oh,
one
yeah.
and an older one,
The
right?
younger one, yeah, the younger one got thrown through the air. If someone wants to try to catch him, just make a dexterity saving throw.
I would like to try.
Is it a 1 or 20?
It's a 20.
Nice.
Nice.
The gnome might live.
It's a nat 20. First
Hell yeah.
session.
Yeah, so you
Go ahead.
Session 1, first nat 20. I love it.
yeah, so you snatch this young gnome out of the air and catch him, and just like, yeah, you have him safely in your arms. What do you want to do?
I got you, little fella. I got you. Is this the old one? Or the young one?
No, this is the young one.
Yeah, so he's a little fella. But we're both little, so fine.
You're all little fellas.
Little feller.
So I got him. So I just want to like put him down and be like, hurry on, go find a place to hide.
Yeah, so it's not like an infant. So they just like look absolutely terrified, and they kind of like are looking back at like towards where their their caretaker had hit the wall, and is like really wanting to go, like doesn't want to leave, and doesn't want, like, is kind of staying, but they're not. If you want to roll a persuasion roll or intimidation or something to try to convince them.
Oh, sure.
I'll assist in that too. At least for the sake of advantage. Glenn would grab him by the shoulder, and be like, "Look, little buddy, this is our situation, not yours. We'll help him out. You just need to get out of here."
Persuasion.
Whichever way you want to go about it. If you want to persuade them nicely, then yeah.
Okay. I persuade with a 21.
Yeah. So, how do you persuade them?
So I say, I gotta see your friend. I'm gonna help him. Just take care of yourself. I'll help him. Just protect yourself. I'll help your friend.
Yeah. So this gnome that's maybe like a 1.5 to 2 feet tall, just okay, and then just kind of goes running back, and just kind of goes literally right around the wall, and is just like looking like from right around the wall in the most adorable fashion ever, but just like huge terrified eyes, just watching this. Yeah, so it is Cosmo's turn.
Cosmo's. So Cosmo is going to keep good on his promise, on his word, on his 21 persuasion, and is gonna make way for the injured gnome in that corner there. I guess, did we agree on movement? It's 5 astral, one square is 5 feet. Is that what we're doing?
Well,
is it to
essentially,
scale?
no, it's not to scale. So I have it set at like double scale right now. So
Yeah.
essentially, like a square of 2 by 2 is 5 feet.
Okay.
Can I get to the dwarf? Or can I get to the gnome? A square, 2 squares is 5 feet?
Yeah, you can get there. Yeah, you can get there.
Okay, great. Done. I get to him, and I want to get it like a status check on him.
Yeah, he is really, really, really badly injured. If you could see his HP, he would be at 1.
He's alive
he has
but unconscious.
a whole. Yeah, well, he's not unconscious. He's just sitting against the wall, and has like this gory hole through him, and is just holding his pretty much his stomach, and this. Is he safe?
So I'm going to pick pick
Just,
it, pick
just
it.
make sure he's safe.
You're gonna be all right, mate. We're gonna take good care of you. And so I pick him up, and I kind of like, I don't know, I pick him up. Let's see.
So are you gonna burn? Are you gonna burn your action to try to go somewhere?
Can I just pick him up and use my action to double movement back?
Yeah, I mean you could definitely get back
Okay.
if you burn your action because you've
Okay.
used your movement at this point. Picking
Yeah.
him up is not he's
free.
small enough that it's not
Okay.
a big thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wanna do that. I wanna pick him up and
Okay.
pick him back. Yep.
Okay. So you're trying to bring him back and toss him back behind the get him through the gate.
Yeah, I want to get him back to get him some medical attention.
Okay. Are you gonna? What are you doing once you get back there into the encampment area?
Once I get him back over to the corner, I just kind of want to like offer him to the other gnomes because I'm sure they're worried about him. And I want.
There are no other gnomes that like grew with this person, with this being. There's just there's the drow, the kind of the tattered looking drow that came in, and then there are the people that were already in that encampment. But there's no one that came with him.
Wasn't
them.
there the other little gnome that went behind there?
Yeah, there was the little kid, like kid gnome, but I don't know if they. I mean, you're essentially presenting like a child with their like bleeding parent.
I thought it was maybe I had it in the reverse, where the older one was the one that I caught, and it was the younger one that got hurt.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, yeah, that you caught the young one, and then the older
okay.
old gnome when they got hit against the wall.
Okay. All right. So here's what I want to then. I'm going to. Well, I'm not sure even because if he's got a gaping hole, he needs something. But it's not like I can just like heal him through it.
Throw some dirt.
I mean, you could bust him off. If you could bust off a heal on him, I mean, you go for it. I mean, that could definitely stabilize him.
Okay. Yeah, then I'm going to. So I want to do is. So yeah, I want to pick this gnome up. I want to bring him back over to where we are.
So if you pick him up and bring him back, you're gonna burn your action, which means you won't be able to do a heal. You can heal him where he's at, or you can move him back.
So I'll
Okay.
use my action to double move back over to our friends.
Okay, yeah. So you're gonna bring him back over there. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you just trying to get him back behind Rangrim?
Yes. Yeah, I want to try and get to. Yep.
Sweet. Awesome. So that is your go. Glenn, what are you doing?
I mean, see a big ugly guy. I'm gonna move over to this rock right over here. Try to take a little bit of cover. How is that rock tall enough, or do I have to crouch? Is it a big ass boulder?
No, it's tall enough. I would say that it's probably about your height at its tallest point.
All right, so I'm gonna bonus action hide, and then I'm gonna take a little sneak attack, if you will, and just take a nice shot with my longbow. Try to keep some distance.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Natural 18 plus like 7,
Yeah.
25 to hit.
That does it.
D8 plus 5. Ooh, rolled terribly on that. 7 damage, and since I hid, I get sneak attack damage on that.
Yes.
All right, 7 plus, geez, another 3, so 10 damage total. Did I kill
Awesome. Oh yeah, that was it. That's all I had.
it?
No, super good though. Yeah. So you blast off this. So tell me how you shot it. What did you do?
Yeah, so it's big, ugly, I'm guessing like turtle-looking thing. It looks like it's got a big shell on it. So I'd be aiming for like just the neck, just aiming for the big part that doesn't look like it's armored. So I'm aiming
The meat.
right, yeah, the squishy parts. So
Nice.
I just take a longbow shot and just shoot him right in the aim for what I'm guessing a jugular would be.
The glowing weak point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
Star Fox is the big red button.
Yeah. That is definitely effective, and it just roars out as this like bolt pierces it, and it is you seem to be very much angering it.
Hey guys, mind helping out, or are we just gonna keep holding a bunch of little kids? I just hide.
I have to help me friends. Priorities.
Rangrim, it is
Julie.
your go.
Julie Elf.
So this thing just took a solid hit from Glenn
Yes.
hiding off behind these rocks. Cosmo running back with this injured gnome. Is this creature like in scale like as large as it seems in comparison to
Yeah,
us? Like,
it's a-
similarly.
Yes, this would be the scale that you would be seeing it at.
Okay.
Do scale.
Rangrim is simply going to look back at Cosmo with the injured gnome, give it a nod, give him a nod, and then move forward, probably just like right here, like right in his face. And I'm going to use my Dorgron magic to cast the enlarge action on myself.
Sick.
Yes. Yeah, so
Rangrim
you-
looks back, kind of winks at Cosmo, and says, "Keep him safe," and runs over to the hook card and it says, "Ah, you big idiot," and casts enlarge on himself, and immediately, I believe it's doubles in size.
Give or take.
Yep.
Yeah, doubles in all dimensions, weight multiplied by 8. Basically, he goes from medium to large.
That's sick. You actually do it with the tokens. That's cool.
Oh, he did it?
Oh.
It's nice, enjoyable. Yes. Big ass Rangrim,
Astral-
let's go.
Astral is showing up for you guys.
That is satisfying.
That is amazing. So is that your action?
Yes, it is my action to cast it. It's one of my Dorgron magics, so it does not require me to use a spell slot. However, it is my action for my turn,
Okay.
and I don't have anything else that I can really do as a bonus action.
Okay.
So I'm
Um,
basically just gonna like Hulk out in front of him and just like scream in his face. I guess that's what we're gonna. Yep, that's what we're doing.
Intimidation.
Absolutely. And so you scream into this hook whore's face, and it just looks like it does look like it's taken aback for like a second, and then it just like bellows into your face, and it's going to it just starts swinging its arms down at you, one and then another, and
Sick.
so that's going to be a 21 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Let me see. Roll some damage here. Actually, I'll just roll the second one. Fuck. That's an 18 plus 6, so that is gonna be a 24.
Holy crap! Yeah, those both hit
That'll do
for
it.
sure.
Yeah. 1 second here.
There's only a small part of Rangrim though that regrets flexing on this thing like that.
Right.
Yeah, imagine like the angel and devil that like sits on his shoulders. The devil definitely has like more say. Like the
Oh,
angel
for
is just
sure.
kind of like
That's a
encouraging.
bad idea. And he's
Yeah.
like,
So-
fuck it.
Rangram,
He wasn't
That's-
ready.
that's 24 damage.
24 damage. Holy moly.
Does your HP double?
On a scale of 1 to 33, I'm feeling like a 9.
oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, I will say he rolled really, really well on both those.
Yeah,
so,
I was really hoping my AC was going to help me out on that one, but not against 18 net.
So, yeah, so you all see, Rangrim just like, "Blah!" and then you just see him take 2 gnarly slices across his shoulders and his chest from these big giant hook arms, and fall back a little bit, and it's just like, he's now like, you can see like droplets of blood just kind of splashing to the ground from this enlarged Rangrim. And what do you do when you see that, Cosmo?
When I see him take 2 big hits, is it my turn then?
It is your turn, yeah.
Okay, great. That's what I was thinking. Making sure. Well, I just see this happen over my shoulder, and then I cast Lay on Hands onto the gnome, and I give him like 5. I give him like 5 health.
Yeah, so when you do that, you see this hole in his chest kind of like, or his stomach, like, it's like stitches kind of together in a way that's probably kind of grotesque, but it essentially looks like it's still like very like raw, and looks like the first couple layers of skin are still missing. Like, it didn't fully heal this thing, but it seems like it's taken him out of like being off death's door, and their breathing is like kind of gotten better now, and yeah, it seems like you have kept them from dying.
Okay. Does he seem like he's at least in a like out of immediate danger where he's at?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. You got a Rangrim and a Cosmo and a Glenn to get through before it gets to him.
All right. Okay. And
not much of a Rangrim, but
right, not much left there.
A third of a Rangrim.
Yeah. So I just kind of whisper to him, I just rest easy, mate. And then I turn around, and I bring out my pickaxe, and I just let out like a massive dwarven roar, just, and I just go running towards the, what is this? Something whore?
a core.
It's a hook whore.
A hook whore. And I use my bonus action to cast Hunter's Mark onto this big fella, even though he doesn't really need any assistance at aiming. Take it.
Nice.
So, I'm trying not to get too intense in math counting stuff here.
Yeah, next time I'll scale the map properly so that it's to scale. But
Okay, I think it's something around that. No, you're fine. I don't want to get too caught up in it, but I also want
no, you're good.
cruising for a bruising. So put me in, coach.
Put me in. Yeah, I think you could actually move one more square if you wanted to, but if you're happy where you're at, you're good.
My fellow dwarf at 2 squares.
There you go.
That good? All right.
No, that's perfect. That's totally fine. Awesome. Glenn, what do you do when you see Rangrim take these hits?
Hopefully,
Glenn quietly shits himself, but like a rogue shit himself.
Yeah, that would have killed you, I think.
I would have. I think it would have actually. I think you just let out more blood than my body contained. Yeah. So Glenn sees that and he's like, "Oh man, about to lose another set of friends. This always happens." And then he yells out, "Hey, you big hooked bastard! Why all neckmanners want to do is settle down and just keep raising families." And I cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter.
Yes!
yes, love it.
So I need a wisdom save.
Oh man, a wisdom save from a hook whore. I don't know about that. That is an 11.
Oh, wow. My spell DC is not high, and that still works. So he's knocked prone from laughing at my shitty jokes.
Yeah, so you see this very, very probably disturbing visual of this hook whore just like kind of. So are they knocked prone?
Yeah. The creature of your
Okay.
choice, you can see. Yeah, he's knocked prone.
Yeah, so fall, it kind of like, it like starts making this like gurgling kind of wet noise and like almost like mixed with like a cackle and like a screech, and it's like doing this repetitive noise, and it just kind of like, it looks very confused. It doesn't know what the hell is happening, and it kind of falls backwards on its ass, and it's just like making this noise and this screeching, sickly noise. It is thoroughly incapacitated in this weird, sickly version of laughter.
Glenn takes his bonus action, hides, and says to himself, "We're gonna have to go ahead and keep these friends alive at least for one more round." And then it just hides, takes full hide action, gets the fuck out of the way.
Awesome. Rangrim, what are you doing other than bleeding?
So Rangrim, very much bleeding, coughs up some blood. He goes, "Yeah, I think that's pretty funny." He's gonna drop his warhammer and place his hand on the back of the creature's head and cast inflict wounds at second level.
Fuck yes. Do I need to make a save or?
It's a spell attack, so because he's
Okay.
prone, I have advantage.
Yep, you do.
So I'm just gonna roll those real quick.
It sure
Just look up what my
does.
spell attack is.
Sure does.
My spell attack's a +6, and that is a natural 20.
Woo!
Yeah, it is.
Very
Put
nice.
some wounds on this whore.
So that's a metric butt ton of damage.
I'm
So what is
thoroughly
it? Second
excited
level.
for
That's so 4d10.
Yeah.
Support it.
So that's 21. And how do you guys roll crits? Do you just double them, or do you want me to roll 4 more dice?
So double all the dice rolls, and just don't double the actual like the added damage or whatever.
Bonus,
Which, yeah.
Oh, that is 42 damage.
Jesus.
And my spell attack modifier is I rolled
Oh.
21 with the 4d10.
Okay,
So-
so it doesn't kill him. It definitely bloodies it. And how? Please describe this horrifyingly brutal hit to me.
So Rangrim said kind of is thrown back from all the damage he just took, seeing Cosmo running up. And Glenn, he notices Glenn casting a spell on it, and when he notices the beast fall, that's when he drops his warhammer, seeing his opportunity. He goes, "You think that's funny? You're gonna fucking love this." And that's when he touches it by the back of the head, and it just, like, searing pain just shoots through the creature's body, and wounds open up just across it.
Just his head just like and just body, like you just see these like rifts and tears just start like opening up all over the body from just like almost like seams opening up in like a bag of like meat, and it just like starts bleeding everywhere, and like this kind of sprays outwards, probably covering Rangrim a little bit, and also Cosmo. Like just kind of this rain of blood comes down off this creature as all these wounds like instantaneously open on him.
Nice.
It's like every anime sword fight ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Good team.
Yeah, so the hook whore is going to, who is just, I mean, completely like this, still doing this like heinous laughter, and then also like now just like bleeding everywhere, is going to make, I think I have to make another wisdom save, right?
Yes,
At the
sir.
beginning. So that's a 12.
he still thinks my joke is hilarious.
Oh no.
What an idiot.
So like
You're
just
so dumb.
just like this, it just still continues this laughter. It's like trying to like pull itself out of it and like get itself up, but its body just won't abide by what it wants to do. And yeah, it is Cosmo. It is your go again.
Yes. Yes, it is. Done his paladin goodness and saved a friend. Ready to damage. He sees this like slew of just like blood like gushing out. Then he like catches some of it with his shield, like just like you see it, just like, boy, that's a bloody fucker. And and he just like swings his pickaxe down on this beast thing, and guess that would.
I guess you'd be hitting like his like. I guess he's sitting actually, so you'd be getting like some chest and some meat in there.
Chest meat. Love me
Yeah.
some breast meat.
Yes. What are you rolling? What are you rolling?
A D20, really, but.
Okay. Well, yeah. What do you got for your attack?
I have a 22.
We have advantage too.
Yeah.
It's technically pro.
Advantage on
okay.
melee because it's prone.
Let's see if I get at least a. No, that one's not better. So yes, so still a 22 to hit.
That very much hits.
Okay, terrific. You good? My wife just walked
Gifts.
back in with gifts.
Gifts.
Here, let's see. What do I roll? A D. Let's see, I'm a D8
Woo! I want that.
plus a D6. Let's see what his damage is. That is a fat 12.
Fat 12. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you sink this pick. Are you just like trying to like sink this pick into his chest?
So he's sitting more than he's like actually on his back.
Yeah. So he's kind of just like he's kind of fallen into like a sitting position, like kind of leaning back on one of his the hook arms, and so his like chest is kind of exposed to you on that side.
I think if he's sitting, I probably would actually also be aiming for his neck.
Yeah.
Like, just because it'd be kind of more like an over the top, like.
Yeah, you'll have to get a little bit of a jump in there, but I think
okay.
I think you're able to jump up a little bit and
Little-
sink this pickaxe into his neck and pull it out and kind
Okay.
of come back down.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more for a dwarven hop in there.
Yeah.
It's a little jump.
Ah.
So, I don't need to be thrown, but I can do a little hippity
Little
hop.
hippie hop. Yeah,
With
he's looking pretty rough. Do you have anything else you want to do, or are you going to turn it over to Glenn?
I was trying. I don't think that. No, I don't have it. Back down to my friend here.
How hurt does he look right now?
He looks like he is extremely covered in blood.
That's
Dang
gross.
it.
That's really gross.
Forgot
What's up,
about
my
my
dude?
favorite. I forgot about my favorite spell. My divine smite.
I was gonna say, when are you gonna do
Oh.
it? It's like the best time.
I know. Oh well.
All right. Glenn's gonna kind of like peek his head around. He just saw an explosion of blood, and he sees this little dude just jumping and swinging. Kind of giggles, thinks it's cute. And can I get there? My movement speed's 30 feet.
Definitely.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, you could get. Yeah, you can get there. You can get
Okay.
within range.
I'm gonna go to this side of Rangrim, and as he's
Make me an I want to just make me an acrobatics check, just to. I like the idea of you running. I think the only way you could get there would actually be running and jumping off the boulder. So, just want to see how well you do that.
How
tight.
does he do it?
I do it great. I do it 19 good.
Yeah, yeah. So you pull yourself
19 good.
you pull yourself up onto this rock and kind of just like flip over the other side and just go running across and are able to reach the hook core.
And as I'm running, I pull out my scimitar just off my hip. And I
Oh,
just
yeah.
shoot a big
You can
ass.
also bonus action dash as a rogue. I just saw that in chat.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Guessy.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Teaching us the rules. Taking BK to school.
And I take a stab just right across, try to go right across the head. But as I'm doing that, I cast Green Flame Blade.
Yeah, you
Get
do.
a little extra damage.
Hell yeah.
That D6 damage.
Amazing cantrip.
It's the best.
I do my weapon to hit. Oh yeah, 23 to hit. No, 22
Yes.
to hit.
Yes. Both of those hit.
All right. So d6. And since I have advantage, I have sneak attack, right?
Yeah.
Do I have enough?
This is gonna
dice
be
to
a
do this?
fucking hit.
It's gonna be a bit.
1 or 2, I think, probably at least.
Definitely.
Oh, I don't even. Green flame doesn't do what I wanted it to.
No, I think it's too
Doesn't
low
matter.
level right now.
Does not matter. All right. It's a 3d6 total. So 9 plus 5, 14 plus another d6. So 19 damage on that one.
Yeah. So, describe this hit to me.
Well, I said I cast it, so who gives shit? As I'm running forward and I pull the scimitar out, like as it's coming out of the sheath, the just green flame kind of starts to cover the whole scimitar's blade, and like as I get there, just a big arcing slash right up the soft part on Turtle's chest. I don't know what that's called, but basically I try to do the inverse
The
of
turtle meat.
Yeah. I try to do the inverse of the gash that I saw on Luther, and I just go up its chest and just take a huge cleave out of it.
As if maybe think that Luther
Yeah.
is hurt by this. Or
Yeah, let's assume some revenge is happening.
So you do this. You like jump up at it and like slice up it, and as you do, you kind of like it starts falling back. You see like the kind of the light start leaving its eyes, and you like ride it down to it falls backwards on its back with this it shakes the mine a little bit as this thing lands on its back, and essentially just goes limp and stops its like fucking unholy cackle that it's been doing for the past 12 seconds.
As
just
it
makes
goes
it all
down,
feel so small.
as it's going down, I'm wiping off the blade and I put it back in my sheath in my hip, and I looked at the boys, turn around, I'm like, so you guys want to go grab those drinks, or where we at?
Get
Rangram
you that
kind of
little
chuckles
stick.
and looks over to Glenn and goes, that was wonderful. And he's the same size as you right now. And the same thing, he goes to pat you on the back, like square between the shoulders. And it's like, there's a lot more oomph there because he's a big boy right now.
I'm happily gonna take damage on that one.
yeah. Just roll a strength, I guess a strength check,
A strength check.
or
I have
yeah.
advantage on those while I'm in locked.
Ouch.
That's only actually. I don't even know what my modifier is. That was a 14 total with
Okay.
advantage.
Okay, I'll say that. I'll say you take 2 damage, Glenn, as you get this like very hefty hand in your back with this like metal mailed hand, and like boof, boof.
Glenn kind of chuckles. He like takes on the back and like tries to play it off, but like the second they turn away, he just like starts rubbing his back. He's like, "Fuck, man."
Yeah. So you guys have defeated this Hookor, and the guards up on top are kind of like, you can see them. They're like looking down, and they're taking notice of this, and they're calling back, and you hear them like, "Is there anything else coming down? Do you see anything else?"
Stand on top of the big ol' Hookor to look further down.
Yeah, so you don't really see anything, nor do you really. You can roll a perception check if you'd like.
I use me dark vision. I could see really far.
You said perception?
Yeah.
21.
Yeah,
But-
so you don't hear anything, you don't see anything, Cosmo, either. It seems like all kind of is quiet now that this like echoing laughter from this creature has died off.
I yell back. I'm like, everything looks good, bud. Thanks for the help. I shoot him a very sarcastic thumbs up.
And so yeah, they kind of send the word down the mine that everything has been taken care of, and they essentially like come down and start like inspecting the Hookor, and it seems like everything's kind of calmed down a little bit now. So what do you guys want to do?
Want to investigate this. So, like, the hooks themselves, do they look natural, or did they look like they were metal hooks, like grafted onto this thing?
No, they look super. They're like they look
They were
super
bone, right?
natural. Yeah, they're
Okay.
they're made out of bones.
Gotcha. Um. Yeah, I mean, Glenn wouldn't know shit about this area anyway, so
Um,
I'm not gonna metagame.
right. So Cosmo comes up to investigate uh the Bakor and looking for any sort of markings or clues as far as allegiance or anything really.
Um, yeah, you do see like it has it does have this like kind of it almost looks like it would be easy to like look past it, but it does have this like very kind of faint almost looks like a brand into the like not the center of the chest, not even centered in any way, shape, or form, but there's this like kind of odd mark that doesn't look like it's natural of this like brand in this thing's chest.
The are we able to make out any kind of like a shape?
Um, yeah, so it kind of has this like uh, it's almost like a hand, but it has like a hole in the center of it, and then there's a dot in the center of that hand.
A hand with a hole
And
in
it's
the middle?
very rough. It's been it seems like this has been it doesn't seem fresh. It seems very old.
Like,
It's like branded into the leathery hide of this like creature.
cut it out, chat. What do you feel like I should cut it out? Let the elf do it.
Say, I don't know how you plan on cutting something out with a pickaxe, but I'll go ahead and just start like carving into it.
Yeah, so you guys are trying to take this piece out.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Wait, Rangram, are you still gigantic?
I don't know how many rounds of combat it was. They only last a minute.
Definitely still last.
Yeah, you're still up.
Yeah, you're still big boy.
If I'm enormous and I'm gonna see what they're doing, I'll try to just rip it free from its chest.
Yeah, I mean you have advantage on strength checks, so roll me a strength check.
It's prone, so you have advantage to hit too.
It's dead, so
That is a 21.
yeah, so essentially this like piece of this natural like carapace armor, you're able to get your like hands underneath it and essentially tear this plate of this like carapace armor off. And it comes off, and it's essentially about like probably a solid foot by 1 foot of just like this very bloody on the backside, and like definitely has meat on there still. But you're holding this like tile-sized piece of this armor.
Now, when you said it like looks like a hand, does it look like a brand, like a hand print, or is it like a branded on like the actual shape of a hand?
You can't tell. It is indented.
Kind of just like faded.
Yeah, it's been like there are cuts and scratches and everything over the top of this. All you see is that there's like it almost looks like a hand imprint, like that's pressed into this maybe like a quarter, like a half inch. And then it has this like in the center of the hand, there's like a area missing where it's still raised, and then there's another circle indented in the middle of that. So it's essentially a hand print with the circle and then another dot in the middle.
Okay. Cool. Rangram would rip that off and, "Oh, you make this," and he'd like smell it for no reason, and I'm assuming it's like awful. He's like, "Oh," and he would like throw it at Glenn.
Glenn, what are you doing?
I dodge the shit out of it. I do a dope ass backflip off this dead body.
A dope ass backflip, indeed.
Yeah.
I do not do it great.
Acrobatics check, yeah, for sure.
12.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I'll give you the a choice here. You can either fall while you're doing this backflip but not get hit by the thing, or you can do your backflip but still get hit by the piece in air.
It's even better if I just get like knocked off kilter in the air. So I'm down to get hit by it. That's just funny.
Yeah, so he whips this thing at you and you kind of do a backflip, but you still like you don't go high enough and it kind of catches you in the chest as you're coming down from your backflip, and it just kind of catches you in air and knocks you, and you kind of land on your ass, skidding across the floor, kind of like over here. I guess we don't have the battle map anymore, but it kind of like knocks you back a couple feet, and you kind of slide across the floor, and you're like essentially holding this like piece of gore at that same time.
Oh, I can always
Gross.
go back. I don't have to.
No, we're good. Let's keep the Tin Town map.
Okay.
Up.
I guess since I'm just like covered in the gore already, it's like, I get it. I killed it. I'll carry it. And he just picks it up and he starts like, he's like
Raven's
holding it like arms.
I'm sorry. It was except I feel like he's largest for his voice is like oddly deep for some reason. He's like, I'm sorry, my bad. And like he goes to like pick it up off of Glenn.
My bad.
The guy kind of goes sloppy when he uses enlarge.
He's like sloppy drunk.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. So you get this essentially tile-sized piece of gore off him.
So we got
That's
it.
amazing.
We got the mark.
Yeah, you got it. You got the mark with you. Essentially, these members of the Boulderfist Mining Company come down and they're like, I mean, the nice thing is this can be turned into some good meat. We'll just I bet you anything if we pass it on over, we just pass the word down to the people here beyond this wall that they'll be able to make short work of this. But yeah, so they kind of walk back and they're just kind of inspecting the hook ore. What do you guys want to do?
Glenn would
I
start
look
walking.
over at Glenn and Cosmo and I'm like, I'm not eating that, but I imagine in like mid sentence I go back to my normal size. Like, I'm not eating that.
His like voice like cracks.
Yeah. Like the little dwarven puberty crack there.
Even though he hasn't been in puberty for like at least 100 years.
At least 100 years.
Glenn would start walking back towards the gate, towards the small little shanty town.
Yeah. Who has the piece of the shell?
I peeled it off of Glenn after
so
I
Ranger's
yeeted it at him.
walking with
so
it.
I'm just holding it.
All right, yeah. I want. Oi, Rangrim, can I see that?
Yeah. And I just throw it at Cosmo.
It's gross. It's gooey. What is this?
I know. Hey, Glenn, what's your fancy shirt smell like?
Yeah,
This
your
is
shirt has got to be
disgusting.
covered in that.
Yeah, just wiping it off. It's leather, guys. It'll be okay. It's just gonna smell for a little bit. I hope.
Sorry.
Do you guys have showers in your town?
Do you get leather wet?
No.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Nice. So you guys heading? Where are you guys heading back? What are you guys heading to? What are you doing?
I don't. I mean, I think for now, I think we should head to Luther's.
Okay.
That is where I think. That is my vote. Because Luther took damage or got attacked by this ore thing, and we want to go check on him, right? I feel like, I don't know. And maybe he knows something about this mark.
Could ask some of the people in town too. I mean, if they're
He's tight-lipped, that one.
So,
but if
okay,
anyone knows anything that he said, it would be Madge.
So
He'd know better than I would.
does Cosmo recognize this symbol?
No.
No.
No,
Okay,
you
cool.
don't.
All right. I didn't think so. Because I mean, I would know if I knew, and I didn't know. So yes. So I think we should definitely go see Mage about this symbol. That's my vote.
Okay. Uh, yeah. So
I concur, and I could probably use a nap and like I cough and like blood comes out. And I pull a cigarette out of my bib and light it.
Uh,
yeah. Oops. Go for
no, I
it.
was gonna say I think on exit I need to check up on our gnome friend.
Yeah. So as you're walking through, you can see that essentially that handsome drow figure that Glenn was talking to earlier is kind of like leaning down, has his arm around like the shoulder of this older gnome,
Oh, good.
and is seems to be like talking to them, and then just kind of as you guys approach, the gnome like sees you and like comes over and is just like kind of like shakes your hand with both hands, Cosmo, and just like thank you so much. I thought I was a goner. I thought I was gonna lose my little one. I thank you so much.
Boy, that's what paladins do. I'm here to help my friends, my town.
And then the little gnome like peeks out from behind his like kind of his side and is like, thank you. And then just kind of like goes back and hides back behind his leg. And he
Nice.
kind of puts his hand back on him. It's like, uh, I couldn't imagine if I had lost Peter.
Boy, you gotta take care of your little Peter. Peter Pan.
Gotta make sure you take care of your little Peter.
So
right into the penis jokes.
right into it. Entered right into him. Yeah, so the dark elf kind of like pats like puts his arm on this gnome again and just kind of like kind of leads him off towards one of the like they look like a couple of the other people that live down here are actually building they seem like they're assembling some sort of a structure and he's kind of leading them towards this like construction of this like new shelter.
Can sorry. As we're passing back by this this other guy that we had seen before, the dark elf guy that was there when we walked in.
Yeah.
Can I use my divine sense to detect any kind of good and evil?
Yeah, go for it.
It just does.
Okay. What? Hold on. I need to look it up. I don't know what that.
Okay.
Can you read that to me?
I'll read it to you. Sure. Okay, I do.
It just does it.
I do.
And I win.
It just do.
Okay, here we go. It says you can sense anything affected by the hollow spell or no. It just says you can detect good and evil. You sense anything affected by the hollow spell or know the location of any celestial fiend, undead. That's
Okay.
kind of weird.
So, yeah, no, I mean, I think you don't detect anything from this figure.
Okay.
You do get this weird like tickling in the like it's not very strong, but you do get some sort of like a feeling of evil from that piece of essentially like the Hakor's body that you pulled off. And it, like if you can see like some sort of like you do get a sense from that, and that's all I'm going to give you there.
Cheers to that. I'm good with it. I'll take it.
But actually, as you guys are walking out, the dark elf he walks over to you, and well, that was quite impressive, I will say.
Thanks, mate. Just doing what we do best.
I can appreciate a man that's talented. I'd like to introduce myself. I assume Glenn, from how he was being cagey before, has not introduced me to you. So, my name is Joro. Well, I'm kind of the unofficial leader of this little band of not so merry individuals that live down here.
Well, nice to meet you. I'm surprised we haven't met you. I spend a lot of time in these mines. I'm
Oh,
Cos.
I've seen you. I've seen you from time to time. I watch everything that happens in here. Uh, I, I, this is our first opportunity to meet, but that doesn't mean that I haven't seen you plenty times before.
Right. Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for being a part of me town.
Yeah,
Well,
one thing you'll notice, Cosmo, is Joro doesn't want to be seen. He won't be seen. You might catch a glimpse here or there, but he's generally a sneaky little fella.
yeah, I think that Glenn and I have that in common. I actually have a proposition for you that I spoke with Glenn about before you were so kind enough to help us keep that beast from getting through the walls. I actually, you know what? Just come back to me another time. Too many prying eyes, too many prying ears. Glenn, if you could bring them down and meet us at a time when maybe there's fewer people around, we can discuss this further.
Yeah, I always know where to find you. Might just take me a little bit longer than usual. Got a couple doors I got to drag around now.
Well,
He
they
thinks
are
he's
a little bit
dragging us
clankier.
anywhere. Hey, Rangrim, you're muted. You're muted, Rangrim. Is your voice box broken?
Indeed, it was.
It's broke. You're all right, mate.
I waved and said,
You take
"He's
too big of a
talking
hit.
about me, Jar Jar. I'm sorry."
I think you took too big of a hit there from that whore.
No, I'm fine. Cough blood. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say
immediately.
you're not fine. If
Like,
anything,
and
you're doing
Cosmos
bad.
says, "I'm fine." It's just
Yeah,
I could do for a nap. Like more blood. He's wicked, not okay.
Oh, jeez.
yeah. Joro just turns to Glenn and is like, we'll meet at our normal place. Let's say maybe tomorrow
Mor-
evening.
Sounds good. I'll bring the wine.
You
Sounds
drink wine? That's gross.
Better than that ethanol you fellas drink. And I just start to walk, like
But it makes a man
slowly
in
trying
you.
to escort Rangrim towards any semblance of medical aid.
Yeah.
That's great.
So you guys are able to successfully like get back out of the mine. All the gates are now essentially like open. You do have to have them. So actually, this is interesting. The gate between the essentially like this group of people that live here in the mine. And the second gate is not open, and you have to have them open it for you. And they're watching. There's actually like guards on the stationed on the outside that are like watching and making sure that like no one else is coming through with you. It's just the three of you.
Mhm.
And there's actually like a pretty wide berth away from that doorway of the actual like people that have built up these structures down here. So it does seem like there is like they are staying away from that, and there are people keeping them away from that. But you guys are able to make it past that and get to the second gate, or back to the first gate. The first gate is wide open. You get some slaps on the back and stuff from some of the other more militia people that had prepared themselves, which it's now kind of disbanded a little bit at this point. There's probably only about half the amount of people there,
Mhm.
and they seem to be kind of like taking off their battle armor and are going back into more of their like mining garb, just kind of like
Okay.
getting ready to go back to work. But you're able to successfully get out of the mine, and as you walk out into like I guess it's night now at this point. It's not even dusk. You see Luther is standing at just outside the front of the gate, and his leg is not repaired. It seems like he has gotten a pretty quick patch from Madge, and it is essentially like a metal post for his foot with like a flat metal base on it currently, and he seems to still be kind of leaning on that sword.
Okay.
And he just kind of looks at you, and he says, "Well, I guess you should probably follow me."
Right. Well then, let's go.
Did you just talk to people?
Does he not talk?
God damn it, Rangrim. I finally open up and start talking to human beings, and you just give me shit about it immediately. That's what I get from you.
I'm sorry, I got blood loss. I'm not sure if I'm delusional or if you were speaking to me, because normally you don't. Elf, you're gonna take the lead on this one.
I got you, buddy. We'll get there together. And I just kind of like gently pat him on the back. I'm like, lead the way, Mr. Luther.
Well, he's looking at you guys. You're essentially like standing facing him as you're walking out, and he's kind of looking at you. So are you like, did you move all the way up to him then?
Rangrim would have hobbled towards him,
Okay.
seeing him there, and then seeing him, hearing him speak. I think would have actually like jarred him to his interest a bit more, knowing that Luther is a bit more reclusive, and Rangrim has tried to like pull conversation from him, and more he just gets the normal grunts or groans or very just dismissive answers from Luther.
Y'all are making me regret talking to you already. All right, come on after me. And so he kind of like starts stumping away slowly, but he's making his way and starts heading back up towards his house. So that's located over at location 10 on the map. And so it's a little bit farther away. You guys are walking out of kind of like just above where the one would be is where like the main mine entrance is.
Right.
And so like that's the main entrance.
To the north of it?
Yeah, to the north of that like middle section in that island area. And so you guys are walking up, and like, you know, you are able to make your way over to Luther's place. Is there anything you want to do along the way, or you just kind of follow Luther there?
I mean,
I'm just keeping Rangrim from falling over.
Yeah, so you eventually make it to this, which it's dark right now, but there's a lantern on the front of it. You know, it's like I said, this town is extremely humble in its makings. Most of the buildings are either made out of wood from the surrounding, forest, or they're different kinds of like scrap metal. So it's very like old mining town feel. And so you get to his building, which is a little bit bigger than the surrounding cabins. It looks like it at some point was more of a storefront. I think like a general store. And there's a sign on the front of it that seems to have been like boarded over. Like it used to say, like whatever this thing used to be, there is like boards and metal kind of over the top of it now that are blocking whatever like the name of the store was or what this place used to be. And he kind of just like stumps up the stairs and grabs the lantern off of the door. And he's like,
well, that stumps is a verb.
He stumps up the stairs. He's very Mad-Eye Moody right now.
We just watched that movie today.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. But yeah, so he's like, well, I guess I never thought I'd say this, but guess y'all better come inside. And he opens up the door and walks in with the lantern, and he's kind of like it's pretty dark in there actually. And it's not extremely like welcoming, and like it's not like there's light inside. He's just like, you can see as he walks in, the light just kind of follows him, and the thing stays kind of dark. What do you all want to do?
I hope Rangrim in. We'll walk in.
Yeah, I like that Rangrim's just leaving a trail of blood everywhere he's going right
now. It seems a bit dim in here. Can we turn on the light?
Well, yeah. I mean, did you bring another lantern with you? I only have the one. That's really the first thing you just got. I let you into my house, and the first thing you ask me is for something.
Yeah, where's your sensibilities? They don't raise you right around here. Don't worry, we can see just fine. Why don't you tell us what you're doing with that big old hook friend of yours, and we'll see if we can oblige somehow.
So,
You got some towels, maybe we can soak some of this blood.
so he
All over your floor.
he goes over to so when you walk into this building, you can see it's essentially set up to be what looks like it could have at one point in time been more of like a mead hall, like, or not like a mead hall, but like it's a big long built like structure that has like tables, one big long table going down the center of it, and then there's like tables at the front that are kind of facing outwards. So like think of like where you would have a lot of people over to like for meals and for dining, and then there's like some tables at the front for like people that are like of higher, it's kind of raised up, and like people of note would be sitting up there. But this building is like, it is completely like it's not disgusting like dirty, like there's no food anywhere, but this is like run down, there's dust everywhere, there's like cobwebs everywhere, like it looks like essentially almost an abandoned building, except for the fact that like you can see like drag marks and stuff across the floor from like him moving in there. But there's no like, I mean, this is a Warforged, like there's no bed, there's no like any beds that
Just
are in
kind of
this
turns
place.
off.
Yeah, I mean, he does. I mean, they don't have to sleep. They don't have to sleep. They don't have to eat. They don't have any kind of like human needs. So like this person exists in this space, but isn't interacting with it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And he walks over to the table and sets down the lantern, and then just kind of like turns around and starts rummaging in this like old chest that like is kind of rusted, and he has to like kind of really force the hinge on it and pops it open, and he rustles around in there, and he pulls out this really dusty looking red potion, and he kind of just like without really looking just kind of hucks it in Rangrim's direction.
I snatch it out of the air, yoink, and I just hand it to Rangrim.
Rangrim tried to catch it and just
Yeah, it's
like I'm very delusional from blood
blood
loss.
loss.
Like,
24
Hey,
points of
Grimace.
blood loss.
24 points of blood loss.
Yeah. So are you you essentially are you handing it over to him, Glenn, or what are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you recognize it, Rangrim, as a potion of healing.
Right down the hatch.
I think, is that 2d6? Is that what that is? 2d6 plus something, or is it
I think
1d?
it's-
Is
I think it's like a D4.
Is there a
D4 plus
lesser and a
something?
greater?
Yeah, it's just a regular. It's just gonna be a regular potion. of healing.
Regular?
If anyone in the chat knows it, otherwise I'm gonna look it up.
Holler at your boy. What is it, like a D20 or something?
No, it's super.
I want to
it's,
say it's like 2D4 or something like
it's
that.
it's
I'm
2d4 plus
kidding.
2.
I'm
So if you
kidding.
want to roll that.
Oh, I like Bobby's saying it's a D20 plus 20.
Take the potion of long rest.
Yes, the potion of long rest. That's a
The
magic
coma
item.
potion.
It's a comatose.
Why do
Comatose. I like that.
comatose?
It's a D20 plus 20.
So that is 4.
Nice. That's. I mean, that's not
It's
that
be-
much,
it's
but
better.
yeah, your wounds stitch up a little bit, so you're not bleeding as much on the floor. You still got some. It's like they're a day old at this point.
It's like I'm still coughing up blood, but I'm not coughing up as much blood.
Yeah.
Right. There's a little
Yes.
bit of coffee phlegm in it.
There's a silver lining there.
Yeah, you're on day 2 of healing. Essentially, is what this has done for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Luther, like after doing this, kind of walks back over to the lantern and just kind of sits on the table, sits down at the table, and just kind of like pats it. Doesn't say anything.
What is he, Pat?
He pats the table. He just like to kind of like sit down, kind of thing.
Cosmo stares in confusion. He might want the glass back. I don't know. I don't want to offend him.
Glenn walks over. He's like, "Oh man, Cosmo, I'm gonna teach you some finer things." And I just take a seat at the table.
Are you sitting? Where are you sitting in relation to him? Are you sitting next to him? Are you sitting across from him? What are you doing?
directly across from him.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
from the way that interaction took place, I presumed he was sitting on the table.
No. He's sitting. He's sitting. He's
Come
sitting
here.
on. It's essentially a long bench. A long benches. With this like extremely long table.
Because I
Yeah,
was
so
like,
he sits across from him.
you want me to sit on the table?
Cosmo, just grab a bed, grab some pine, bud.
I think I'll stand. Appreciate it. There's plenty of light. It's great. It's great light. Great tables. Great company. I'm great.
Are you so you're sitting on the table?
No, I know. I am standing.
Okay, you're standing.
I will
What are you doing,
stand.
Rangram?
He's
After quaffing that potion of healing, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally fine. And I just like wipe blood out of my beard and sit at the table, pull another cigarette. While I reach into my beard, realize there's no cigarettes there, and pull one out of my boot. And I look over it, and I just rub my thumb across like a piece of metal on the table a bunch of times. Like you ever see a crackhead light a cigarette that way on the internet?
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm just
god.
like, I'm fine. Thank you, Luther. As I like accidentally blow all the cigarette smoke in his face.
Yeah, luckily he's a warforged, so he doesn't seem that bothered by it. But he just kind of waits for a second, and then y'all did really well down there. I don't like to admit when I can't, when I've not been bested, but I couldn't. There's nothing I could do in that situation. I for a long time have been relying on just myself to protect and help people, and for a long time that's been enough. But today I wasn't able to help people when I needed to, and that's worth more than pride to me. Do you know what this place? Do you know what this place used to be?
this building, or it's in town.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to just keep going bigger, what did Sakal used to be? What did
Right.
Skull. This realm used to be? No. What he's kind of looking at you like he's just kind of he's like second guessing what he's about to say based on how dumb your response is. He kind of stops for a second. He's just kind of looking at you like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then he doesn't say that, but he's just looking at you like, kind of like, "Oh God, what have I done?" And then he continues, and he's, "Well, in a time past, a long time ago, lifetimes ago for you of the mortal folk, this used to be a place of honor, place of heroes and legends, and different kinds of people trying to do good things. And it's not been that for a long time. It's just been a place where, place of sadness, place of memories and regrets. And I think that today, when I couldn't help those people, I think that it's a time that things change a little bit, and maybe the old times need to come back." And so he's just kind of like looking around and kind of like looks kind of wistfully, and is like as if he's like picturing something in his head of like what, like, looking around like he's like remembering what it used to look like. um and he kind of looks at you all and says, "How would y'all like to be Luther's legends?"
I think we need a little more clarification about what that might mean, but I feel like I'm picking up what you're putting down. You need us to maybe deal with some of these bigger beasts while you're hobbling about getting fixed up, yeah?
I guess
Grim kind of looks at Luther a bit. Would this have ever even been a term or anything I might have overheard in earshot from his dealings with Madge?
Yeah, so I think that Rangrim, you would have heard this term referenced before. Luther's Legends was essentially a hero guild that existed in this town long ago, like a very very long time ago, and it has been essentially just defunct and has been like what for a very long time and not functioning. And what's crazy is it's much more. It's like kind of long been lost from like the people that live in the town now. It's not something that people think about, but it is. It's something that Madge has talked about, has mentioned, and talked to Luther about, and just in passing conversation, you would have heard it mentioned.
So I'd look at him and like, oh yeah, I've heard you and Madge. I've heard this before. I don't really know what it is, but I'm pretty much in. I just have to check with Madge and make sure she could spare me at the forge, whatever this entails. But she trusts you, Luther. I know that.
I appreciate that. It's not in my nature to trust other people or to entrust other people with the work that needs to be done. And I don't want you to take it in the wrong way. I don't want anyone getting hurt. I'd rather be able to help them myself. But that I think that it's become a time. It's gotten to the point where I need to, expand this little thing and take it. Trust some more people other than myself. And from what I saw today, I think I can trust you. Uh, that creature. You said it was a. Did you mention it was a hook whore? Is what you were talking about?
It was some kind of whore, and it had hooks.
It was a pretty loose whore.
Yeah, those are pretty nasty beasts. I've never faced one myself, but this injury I sustained today was actually from a griffin. It got me something fierce. It was attacking a small caravan outside of town, and I barely made it back. And if I were to fall, if I had that taken me out, there'd be no one to pass on the legacy of what this place should be. And I think that my pride is some things are more important than pride.
Boy.
And he kind of looks. He kind of like you see his eyes kind of like glance over to like this side table and just like really quick and then he looks back at you guys and just kind of looking at you.
Do I see anything on the side table?
Yeah, you see what looks like a picture frame. The picture frame is almost completely covered in dust. It's almost if you want to roll, actually, you know what? Now it's almost a completely opaque. I think you can't really see other than like maybe the outlines of a couple forms. Probably several actually. There's probably close to like 5 people in this picture, but you cannot see any more details than that.
Glenn kind of catches a glance and notices a little bit of like that sad tinge, and he says, "Look, old timer, I can see you got a lot of sadness, a lot of pain, a lot of time in those old bones of yours or rusty bones of yours. You let some of us younger folk, us spry chickens, help you out with this. Maybe we take care of a couple jobs for you here and there. You take care of some of the finer things for us."
Well, I appreciate it, but I can. And he kind of looks at you, and he's like you kind of offended him a little bit, because you're kind of saying that he essentially can't do it because he's old. And he doesn't. He kind of like looks at you like, you know what? I believe it or not, I can still hold my own, being an old timer and all. So, uh, why don't you just worry about you, and I'll worry about me, and we can worry about trying to rebuild this place together. How about that?
Well, what'd you call us in here for? Well, you cut to the chase. At this point, my buddy's just leaking out and trying to figure out what you need from us. Let's stop speaking in circles and get to the point, yeah?
Well, I don't need anything from you tonight, but you can go off and do whatever you need to. I just wanted to. I felt like I needed to talk to someone about this. So I'm sure that the need will rise, but I think that you've done plenty for the night to be proud of. And I'm sure that we'll be running into each other very soon.
While I've thoroughly pissed him off, I would assume that he's mildly distracted, and with my mage hand, I'm going to try to lift the photo.
So are you trying to lift it up?
Try to take the frame, yeah.
Okay,
Without
yeah.
him noticing.
Do a sleight of hand.
Good old rogues.
21.
Yeah. What are you trying to do with it?
I'm going to try to, like, first move it off the table, out of line of sight, slide it, like, underneath the long table, just, like, keep bringing it closer and closer to me. I'm gonna lift it. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. So you're able to get this thing into your bag by sliding it underneath the table and just kind of like sliding into your bag. But yeah, you do have this frame.
And I start to stand up and I say, "It's very nice meeting you, Luther. I'm sure I'll see you soon." And Glenn walks out.
Awesome. Yeah. So Luther just kind of stays at the table and he's just kind of looking down at it. Seems like he's kind of in thought. What do you guys want to do?
The Rangram would stand from the table and look to Luther and extend out his hand to shake it. Said, I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
And more or less just say that I now match trust you. We haven't spoken much, but I trust you.
Yeah, he actually, like, that seems to kind of snap him out of his contemplation, and he just kind of like reaches a hand out, and this is probably like the first time you've actually like straight up like shook his hand. So it's he doesn't say anything, but he definitely looks at you, and like that meant something to him.
Yeah, and I just nod and slowly hobble my way behind Glenn. As I'm not coughing up as much blood, so that's like
slow leak.
Yeah.
Cosmo's response. I seem frail, but I seek to understand the old ways. Seek to understand the past, to know the future. Here to fight by your side. Anything specifically that he see his.
Yeah, he doesn't really like respond in any way. He just kind of nods at you, and just kind of like yeah, like he gets that he's a man that lives in the past, like, and so he understands that like longing to know, like that connection to the past that you seem to have as well, and so he connects with you on that level. Yeah, so you guys go outside. It's pretty late at this point. What are you guys planning on doing? I think that like based on, we can probably get pretty close to wrapping up here, and so like I kind of want to just know what you guys want to do each individually, and then we can kind of wrap up.
Rangram would be making his way to the Iron Woman to bed down for the night. As I said, he actually just sleeps like in the smithy shop, like next to the forge. That's
Cool.
where his cot's set up. So that's where he would just go to. It's been real. It's been fun, but it has not been real fun. "Oh, I'm going to bed," and he would just like not as like bleeding to death. So hopefully Glenn doesn't think he's gonna die on the way there.
Get some rest, Rangram. We'll see you in the morning. We gotta. Sounds like we got a lot to
Rangrim
talk
dies.
about.
Rangrim dies in the middle of the night and just dies off camera.
Sepsis off camera.
Just an off-camera character death. It's out of story. So
This is Dan Grimm, Rangrim's brother.
I'm here to avenge my brother.
brother.
It actually would be better if you just call me Rangrim, because I don't want to really make it different for anybody. So, not change anything.
Cosmo, what are you doing?
Cosmo's very interested in soul, and very much understanding what seems kind of becoming his town to and so as he to kind of walk towards his home, you see him kind of this book out of his back satchel, getting to like investigate, feeling like looking for something.
Yeah, he's trying to like cross reference and just see if there's anything that's using the book essentially. He's just trying to research this, Mark.
Yeah, he's very concerned. Doesn't know what.
Okay. Yeah, that's I think that's solid. Glenn.
I was gonna say, suppose, hey, Elf, I know you're new in town. Have a spare kid if you need to crash.
I appreciate that. I think I might take you up on that. I'll follow you where you're going.
Awesome. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I guess essentially you go back to Cosmo's house. What is your house like, Cosmo? Like, what is that? Describe that for me.
Second. So what you see as you kind of come up, to it's like old. It's very like well settled home. And as we come up, it's late, but you see this like kind of like a water tower, a small water tower that just kind of runs down water down towards the front, and you see this like figure out on the front that's just running this water mill, and as he comes, oh yo mom, you still washing out the dirt? And she's doesn't really respond, but she's like milling through like mine dirt. And we just kind of come into this house, and it's very much like a necessity driven only type place. Like you see a lot of like mining shoes, pickaxes, and mining parts, but it's a bare necessities type place. Very much, it's like middle ground, but just motions past. Don't mind me, mum. She's not very talkative. She just likes to work late. And kind of takes Glenn in to bunk down, I guess.
Yeah, what is the room that Glenn's going into, or like space going into, look like? Because I'm curious to hear how Glenn responds to this.
Yeah, it's just a shitter.
Sorry, it may not be up to your high elf standards, but it's the best we can do.
Is it a super short bed?
Oh, it's very good. Right?
My knees are just like this.
So.
So Glenn like kind of sees it's like, oh man, you know what? I've definitely been worse, and it's definitely the thought that counts. I appreciate it. I'll make do. Awesome. And I like close the door as like kind of politely, but like I close the door to like signal that I'm going to bed. And then Glenn takes the frame out that he just stole, sets it on some small little table. I imagine there's like a little bedside table for the candle or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't touch the dust. I leave it like basically completely preserved as like when I lifted it. I say, "I'll see you soon, Luther," and I just like go into my elven trance.
Are you not? So you're not looking at the photo?
Nope, just leave it like completely how it is.
Okay. Yeah. Damn it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Got him. Got him.
You razzed me. No, it's fine. I think that's probably a good place to end.
Does seem like a great place to end. That was a lot of fun.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was awesome. I can't wait to kill Luther.